And it is now time for our main event this evening on the Reality Wrestling Command, who is no stranger to that main event. The Latin heartthrob, the former Reality Wrestling champion, Gino. He says it right there on his shirt, untouchable. And that is how Gino has been here in Reality Wrestling for the most part. He has had a roller coaster ride to the top with very few dips, twists, or turns. Sure, he has lost that Reality Wrestling Championship on 3 separate occasions, but he's also gone back up to the mountaintop. And he's broken records. He's proved people. Oh, look at that. Because that's real nice. Real nice there, Gino. Nevertheless, attitude aside, inside the squared circle, this man is aces. Second generation performer, the son of Mexican wrestling legend El Sanguinario. Gino Medina. He is Gino. Sporting the familiar smile is Bryan Keith, the Lone Ranger of Reality Wrestling tonight. He is the now former champion after losing to the Bear, Ryan Davidson, in our first ever drive-up event here outside of the World Gym Arena. In our main event, you did see it, Bryan Keith fell victim to the Bear. He got mauled. He lost his championship, and now he's already back in action so quickly thereafter, after a match where we seemingly thought that he may have been seriously injured there toward the end. Bryan Keith cannot be anywhere close to 90%, let alone 100% getting inside the ring with somebody who you need to be 110% to have an opportunity against. But if anybody can prove us wrong, it is the Lone Ranger of the rope, Bryan Keith. Wonder though the mentality of a man who climbed to the top, had one of the longest reigns in Reality Wrestling history as the champion, now being the champion no more, and losing it in the first event that we've had with a pretty good size portion of the Reality Wrestling Nation, be it in a drive-up event or not. Bryan Keith felt the pressure that night. I spoke to him earlier that night. He said he wants to prove that he belongs as the Reality Wrestling champion. That is something that he has kept with him since he won the championship in late 2019. He felt the need to continue to prove himself. He never wanted to rest on his laurels. Then he went out there, he did not get the job done. You gotta think that is weighing on the conscience of the Lone Ranger this evening. I want to talk about somebody who took their quarantine time to their benefit. Gino has never looked better. He's never looked leaner. He's never looked more physically dominant than he does right now. You have to remember, this man walked into the gym at the Reality Wrestling Arena when he was just 16 years of age. He won that championship in his early 20s, and he is still in his early 20s. Gino has been a cornerstone, though, at this company. And now you see him in the likes of MLW, performing all around this country, performing in Mexico. And now Bryan Keith, though. Bryan Keith, you see the look on his face. Taking, oh, look at that. Beautiful leg sweep there by Gino. Gino's getting him tied up early on. Bryan Keith trying to find that rope. Switches out. The Lone Ranger stands tall. Referee Isaac Bouillon starting his count, telling Gino to get back in here. And you know, Bryan Keith has to be thinking that I need to win this match tonight. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I have to win. I have to win. I have to win to get back in the title picture. Here, Reality Wrestling, there's not automatic rematch clauses. You lose, you're to the back of the line. And the #1 contender will arise. The next guy will be there. And Bryan Keith wants to make sure the next guy is him, because he feels like he has some unfinished business inside this ring. Collar and elbow tie up. Gino, look at that, beautiful. Just grabbing Bryan Keith around the neck. And a front face lock right here. Bryan Keith goes down to one knee. What we talk about is Bryan Keith 100% sure he's showing it physically here in the early goings. As this match progresses, look at that nice single leg takedown by Gino. Gino going right back to that left knee of Bryan Keith, and now side headlock there on the mat. Beautiful wrestling. Bryan Keith reversal. But I was saying, Bryan Keith in the early goings, yes, he looks physically fit. He looks like he's ready to go. I'm showing no signs of weakness coming out of his last match, but we are still in the early goings here. With these two guys' resumes, this match could go all night long. And as this match progresses, as the fatigue sets in, as the breaths get deeper by Bryan Keith, can he find it in himself to battle back against a fresh Gino? Gino, oh wow, look at that. Bryan Keith, quickest kicks in the South for a reason. Going for it again, Gino had it scouted. Gino rolls through, leapfrog. Bryan Keith, a drop kick quick, out of nowhere, right to the lower gut of Gino. Beautiful work there by the former champion. Bryan Keith has held 2 championships in his illustrious career here at Reality Wrestling, the television championship and the Reality Wrestling Championship, of course, one of the longest reigning of the latter. Gino, fireman's carry position. Oh, just Bryan Keith able to shift his weight, and then Gino greets him with a forearm to the face. And now, it looked like he was trying to send him into the pole, but Bryan Keith, using the step ladder that our cameramen used to get a good angle, rounds up it and now finds himself on the top rope, and a beautiful drop kick sending Gino to the outside. Bryan Keith, the Lone Ranger of the road, now finding his footing, and he's in the driver's seat. But wait a minute though, look at that. Those ribs that were damaged in the match with Ryan Davison. Those ribs that were seemingly broken, or at least cracked at the very least, coming into play. Anybody who's ever had fractured ribs, cracked ribs, broken ribs, or bruised ribs know how hard it is to fire up, knows how hard it is to take that deep breath I was talking about when we get in the later goings. But Bryan Keith looking for a rodeo. He's looking for a rodeo DDT. Gino had it scouted and just holds him up, hangs him up on that top rope, which is just steel under it. 1, 2. Wow, okay, lots happening. Let's break this down. Gino, by throwing Bryan Keith in a beautiful counter over that top rope, which is a steel cable encased by piping, he has just further damaged those already predisposed ribs of Bryan Keith. And now a kick to the back, the spine. 1. Oh. Stepping on the hands of Bryan Keith. That's a mental game Gino's playing. Gino's got his left arm wrapped up behind him, and now pulling back on the neck and the chin of Bryan Keith, making it all that much more hard for him to breathe. And now pulling back on the neck, that expands that rib cage, and that is putting pressure all across his torso, which is making those breaths again harder. And then look at that. Oh man. That left leg wrapped around the front side of the rib cage of Bryan Keith, and Gino just opening and closing his legs like a pair of scissors, cutting. Oh man, cutting Bryan Keith. That big overhand chop, slowing Gino down, and Gino said, I'm tired of that. I'm give up on that, and just stepping right back on the hand. Chops to the chest, and you see Bryan Keith registering every single one of them. Kicks to the side of the head. No respect, shown by the former champion. Bryan Keith, though, finally getting some offense in. Oh. Gino's so quick. Man, Gino's so quick. Always impressive the way that he finds his ways in and out of different positions. here inside the squared circle. And now he's trying to use that bottom rope for leverage to get Bryan Keith up and over. Oh! Excuse me, for Bryan Keith to get Gino up and over. And look at that. Shades of the Mexican wrestling legend Eddie Guerrero right here from the great state of Texas. 1-2, kick out after 2 on the back, on the spine of Bryan Keith. Gino always trying to weaken you. And look at that. See, we didn't see it before. Those ribs were exposed. Those ribs were taped up. And now Gino, look at that. Gino's trying to tie Bryan Keith into the corner with his bandaging from his bruised ribs. And now, look at that. That's just despicable. That is just despicable. El Campeon, I don't know, inadvertently spitting in our referee's face. And while he had his back to Bryan Keith, trying to argue with the referee, kicking Bryan in the ribs repeatedly as the referee's telling him to stop. Speaking of that, we talked about it in the Savage King match. I'm thinking that Isaac Bouillon might just need to step in and stop this one so Bryan Keith can live to fight another day. Pulling back. Look at that. Referee counting 1, 2, 3. Now Gino almost taking a break. He knows that he is in the driver's seat. He knows that this is exactly where he wants Bryan Keith to be, and he feels very comfortable in his position. Bryan Keith, though, looking for that side effect. Gino able to counter it. No, but Bryan Keith hits it there. Bryan Keith hits it there. Cover. 1, 2, and a kick out by Gino. Wow. Bryan Keith had to dig deep to hit that, and he was able to get the job done. But he wasn't able to get the 3 count. Oh, going for that side kick. Gino almost counters in a schoolboy. Now he gets a kick to the side of the head on his own. He's gonna hit that scarlet letter. Jumping enziguri from the former Reality of Wrestling champion. And is that enough time for him to buy himself a breather? For him to take a break? For him to get his mind back mentally? To get his body back physically? So he can finish off the Latin heartthrob and be one step closer to fighting the Bear for that Reality of Wrestling Championship. Referee up to a count of 6. Bryan Keith getting back up to one knee, saying he needs a cowboy up, signaling for that rodeo DDT. But Gino, Snake Eyes in the corner, rolls through. Oh, God, that lifting knee into the rib cage of Bryan Keith. Now those ribs have to be broken. Scarlet letter. It's all academic at this point. 1, 2. Whoa. Bryan Keith just kicked out of the scarlet letter. It's not the first time that's ever happened, but it's a rare occasion. It's like Haley's Comet in Reality of Wrestling for someone to kick out of the scarlet letter. And that just shows you the heart, the will, the determination, the passion Bryan Keith has. But was that the right move for his future? Should he just not live to fight another day and chalk this one up as an L as he tries to counter out of Gino? And he does. Beautiful back suplex. And now, Bryan Keith is relying on the energy of the inhabitants of the Reality of Wrestling World Gym Arena. Can they get him back into this match? Rodeo DDT. Oh, Bryan Keith. His ribs just eating that. Beautiful kick there by Gino. Oh, and a rodeo. A rodeo by Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith finding a way. Turn over Bryan. Just get a cover, Bryan. He gets the arm over. 1, 2. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3. Gino gets the job done out of a reversal, no less. Gino defeats the former Reality of Wrestling champion, Bryan Keith. Now Bryan Keith taking 2 L's in a row. But he obviously was not 100% coming into this match. Gino knew it. Gino exposed his weakness, and it got him to victory. He is still untouchable, is Gino the real story here now, congratulations to Gino on a hard-fought victory, although by some deceptive means at times. The story is Bryan Keith. Bryan Keith now laying there. The reality is setting in. He is not the champion. And he just took a loss in the Reality Wrestling main event. His ribs most likely broken. What is the future of the Lone Ranger of the Road? We'll have to find out.